I'm sharing my top 10 favorite books of all time in today's video. Hello everyone, Jennifer here, and welcome to the Daily Connoisseur. So in today's video, I'm going to be counting down my top 10 favorite books of all time. We're focusing on fiction books here, and over the years many people have asked what my favorite books are, so I think that this video will be fun for people to watch. Also, if you're new to my channel, my name is Jennifer and I am an author as well. I am a nonfiction author. I have written the Madame Chic series and Connoisseur Kids. So if you want to check out my books, I will leave them along with all of the books that I'm talking about today in the description box below. One more caveat that I want to share: some of these books are actually going to be a series because I can't really choose one book from the series. You know what I mean? So that's one caveat. And that's very relevant because jumping in at number 10 is the Griffin and Sabine series by Nick Bantock. These are the most creative and unique books I have ever read. I read Griffin and Sabine when I was in high school, I think. My dad bought them and he was really into the books. They're not really for kids, and I realized that when I went back and reread them recently. But whatever, I was reading Agatha Christie and stuff when I was a teenager, but Griffin and Sabine are epistolary novels, which means that they are novels told through letters. And so every page there's a new letter or a new postcard. And not only is the story compelling, there is a bit of a mystery going on in the Griffin and Sabine novels, but they are so visually stunning because Nick Bantock himself is also an artist, and he does all of the artwork, the stationery, the stamp design, the postcards. It is such a treasure. I mean, the entire experience of reading this series is one that you will never forget. So Griffin and Sabine, highly recommend. Number 9 on the list is also a series because I can't just pick one, they're all good. And it is the Jeeves and Wooster series by P.G. Wodehouse. These are really humorous British novels. They take place around like 1918, 1939, that time period. And P.G. Wodehouse is just an absolute master at comedy. It follows the antics of Bertie Wooster, who is an upper-class aristocratic Englishman, and his all-knowing butler, Jeeves. And they have so many adventures. And Jeeves is constantly getting Wooster out of these tough situations. They are absolute gems, and if you ever get to see the TV series with Hugh Laurie and Stephen Fry, I actually think episodes are on YouTube. They are just so good at bringing these characters to life. Number 8 on the list is another series. It is the #1 Ladies Detective Agency series by Alexander McCall Smith. This is a gentle, charming mystery series that you can immerse yourself in forever. There are so many books. I've read a ton of them, but I haven't read all of them because they keep coming out. And it follows the adventures of Precious Ramotswe, who opens up a ladies detective agency in Botswana. And every book is full of intriguing little mysteries. There's no like hard murders or anything like that in these books. It's more like little domestic dramas and things like that that are interesting. So if you like that type of thing, you would love these books. Actually, every book Alexander McCall Smith writes is amazing. Number 7 is Amy Snow by Tracy Reese. Now, I don't know if when I read this book, it just hit me at the right time because I had just given birth and I think I was like really emotional. But this book, I remember feeling so impacted by this book when it ended. But it is about an abandoned baby, a treasure hunt, there's a romance in there, and it takes place in England in like 1830. So I just remember the feeling I got after reading this book, and it was just something I will never forget. Number 6 on the list is The Complete Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I was going to say The Hound of Baskervilles because that's the most famous one, but honestly, every novel, every short story about Sherlock Holmes is brilliant. I actually have 2 different versions of this book, and I think both of them have a broken cover or spine here. So Sir Arthur Conan Doyle just is a master of atmosphere, a master of mystery, of deduction. Sherlock Holmes is one of the most perfect characters ever created. His dynamic with Watson is incredible. So mystery lovers and anybody really could benefit from owning a copy of Sherlock Holmes and reading them. When my dad was in his last year of life, and I would visit him every day, and often I would read to him from the Sherlock Holmes books. So we would read through short stories together, and it was really meaningful. It will always mean something to me. So anyway, the Sherlock Holmes books by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Number 5 will come as no surprise to anybody who knows me, but it is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and the Through the Looking Glass books by Lewis Carroll. So I read these first as a child and have loved them ever since. I've probably read through Alice at least 10 times. I own several different editions of the books. They're all different. This summer, I even purchased prints made from the original blocks from Sir John Tenniel, who was the illustrator for the Alice books. So as you can tell, I'm kind of obsessed with Alice in Wonderland. I do think it is one of the greatest books ever written. And a lot of people think about it as being nonsense or, just like complete and total fluff. But I feel like the Alice books are so deep. They represent so much. I could pull so many life lessons and meanings from the Alice books, and one day I will do a video on that because I just am so obsessed with them. So anyway, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, absolutely dear to my heart. Number 4 on the list is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. So this is a recent read for me. It was on my to-read list for so long, and it is one of the best books ever written. It is so compelling. There's a bit of a mystery in it. Of course, there's a romance, and it follows the journey of Jane Eyre, who is a governess in England, and her employer, Mr. Rochester. Jane Eyre explores the themes of self-discovery. The class system is really represented here. It is such a good story. So if you've never read Jane Eyre, I highly recommend it. I actually first listened to the audiobook by Thandie Newton, and she is so good at narrating this story, so I do recommend that highly. Okay, my number 3 favorite book of all time is And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. And as a caveat, I'm also just including every book by Agatha Christie. I could not choose one, I just couldn't do it. And Then There Were None is not a book that includes any of her famous characters like Hercule Poirot or Miss Marple. So it is a standalone book. It's not in a series. And I just remember I read this when I was a teenager the first time and was blown away. I have read it several times since then. It is such a good story. It's very chilling. It is very dark. It is a good one to begin if you have never read Agatha Christie before. Hercule Poirot, all those books, amazing. Miss Marple, all those books are amazing. She's an elderly spinster who solves crimes. Hercule Poirot is a Belgian detective living in London, and his sidekick is Hastings. So it's like the Sherlock Watson dynamic. Another favorite series from Agatha Christie is The Mysterious Mr. Quin. This is maybe my favorite series from her. It's a lesser known one. Follows the adventures of Mr. Satterthwaite, who has mysterious encounters with a Harley Quinn. And anyway, just love the books. They are spectacular. Okay, you all know how much I love Agatha Christie, so I know many of you are thinking, what could possibly be before Agatha Christie? We've arrived at number 2, my number 2 favorite books of all time, and that is the Map and Lucia books by E.F. Benson. Okay, so again, this is a series. If I had to choose one, it would be Map and Lucia, but I love all of them. So these books follow the adventures of Emmeline Lucas, otherwise known as Lucia, and Elizabeth Mapp.
I just wanted to quickly share the order of the books. It's Queen Lucia, Miss Mapp, Lucia in London, Map and Lucia, The Worshipful Lucia, and Trouble for Lucia. In the first few books, Lucia and Mapp's paths do not cross. So Queen Lucia focuses on Lucia and her life in Rhythm, and then Miss Mapp focuses on her life in Tilling.
But she arrives when Lucia moves to Tilling. Lucia has a best friend called Georgie, and The adventures in this town are so epic. Like, basically, there's a social rivalry between Map and Lucia, and the things that happen just always have me in stitches. These books make me laugh. They bring me so much joy. They are so well written. E.F. Benson is basically one of my favorite authors. Everything he writes to me is just pure gold. So anyway, that's number 2. Okay, drum roll please. We have arrived at my number 1 favorite book of all time, and it is The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. So this book is so special to me. Again, I read it first when I was a child and I was absolutely enthralled. I read it over and over and over again when I was a child. I was obsessed. I pretended I was Mary Lennox. I still haven't let go of the story. I still love the story. I've seen the movies, the musical twice. I mean, I'm really obsessed with The Secret Garden. It is a story of transformation about a little girl named Mary Lennox, who is a rather sour little girl. Her parents die in the beginning of the story, and she goes to Misselthwaite Manor in England to live with her uncle, Sir Archibald Craven. And there is a little bit of a mystery here too. She hears mysterious noises, but ultimately it's the transformation of Mary, what nature and the garden can do to bring her out of herself and to truly love life again. It's a story of renewal. I truly do think that it is one of the best books ever written. I hope that you enjoyed today's video, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to know what your favorite books are. Let us know in the comment section down below. I also invite you to subscribe to my author newsletter. I send out 1 newsletter every month and it's totally free. So just go to jenniferlscott.com and enter your email in the top left-hand corner and click subscribe. It's totally free, and that's my best way of communicating with you right now since my blog is on pause. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone. Keep calm and remain classy, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.